An official bid has come in for Orel Mangala from Lyon. Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Forest Fan TV have teamed up with our good friends at FOCO, who can offer you the most amazing Nottingham Forest officially licensed goods. Would you like your very own world famous city ground and be the envy of all your mates? Or like me, do you need that happy clapper juice constantly by your side with this beautiful bottle? Or for those of you with gardens, how about putting one of these beautiful forest gnomes in there? And for the younger generation, why not be the envy of all your friends at school with this official Nottingham Forest lunchbox? Go check out the FOCO website by simply clicking on the link in the description or in the pinned comments and select the items you want, from the city ground to mugs to gnomes. Once you've selected the item you want, make sure you go to the checkout after adding it to your basket and make sure to use code FFTV10 for a further 10% discount off all your checkout items. Go check out the link now and come on you Reds. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. Coming up in today's video, we will be talking about Mangala and the latest bid that has come in. We'll give you a story on Alcaraz, the Southampton Argentinian attacking midfielder. We've got a couple of exits from Nottingham Forest, which we'll update you on. And will one exit mean one player comes back in? Let's get into it, guys. Before we do, as always, hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed because we are in the dying embers of the transfer window and things are getting serious because there's even more goalkeeper talks incoming as well. But let's kick this off with Orel Mangala. Now, we told you all about the Napoli stuff. We told you this morning about Lyon and their interest in him. And now it's come out that Lyon have put in a bid for 30 million for Mangala. And this is going to be very tempting for Nottingham Forest because this will be more than they valued him at. We believe Forest had him valued at around 25 million. Now, a 30 million bid doesn't necessarily mean write a check 3-0, and then all the zeros, and then send that over. Obviously, this will be made up of add-ons, payment structures, etc. But the overarching offer is set to be 30 million. And I think Forest will go for this one. But I don't think they want to lose him at the same time. But the money's going to be too much. With Forest having paid 12 million-ish for Mangala in the first place, this will be a good return on their investment. And more importantly, a very quick profit return on their investment. So Mangala could be out the door very shortly. Now, this could drive a couple of others into, getting their act together. Maybe we see Juventus, who were heavily linked with him when Napoli were, but have gone very quiet on him. They may start to think about making a move on him now. But how do you feel about this one? Do you see him fitting in at Lyon, who, as I told you earlier on today, are in a bit of a relegation battle? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments as always. Okay, so from a player going out to a player potentially coming in, and I'll say it off the bat, I'm a little dubious even on this one, and I'll explain why in a minute. Carlos Alcaraz from Southampton. Forest are very interested in him. This is the guy they bought from, Racing Club, and they paid about £12 million for him. And Racing have a 15% sell-on fee on him. However, Southampton are demanding around 30 million for him. And this is way too much. I don't think they'd get 30 million. It sounds to me more like a hands-off kind of price tag, a bit like Forest did with Brennan Johnson back in the day when we were in the Championship and Brentford came sniffing. But will he want to go? And this is really what causes drivers of transfers, is when the player's head gets turned, because currently Southampton are not guaranteed to be back in the Premier League. Now, they believe that even if they don't go up and they hold on to him in the summer, his valuation won't depreciate. I would tend to disagree with that. If they're still stuck in the Championship next season, then his price will have to go down. It was the risk that Forest took, again, going back to the Brennan Johnson situation. So ideally for Southampton, they'd like to get promoted and then decide whether or not they want to keep him or sell him on for the price tag. And especially as they've got to give away 15% of what they earn from him, that could be a headache. But if his head gets turned this afternoon, tomorrow, or what have you, will Southampton want to hold on to a disgruntled player whose actual ambition is to be back in the top flight of the Premier League? There are a couple of other clubs interested in him, but Forest would suit what he's looking for. In terms of where he plays, he kind of plays attacking midfield. He can play up front. If you remember, I believe, I'm sure you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, he scored against us last season in that 4-3 game at the City Ground. But I do like him because he's 21 and he has that profile that I think Forest should be going after. A player who's got potential, who's not going to cost too much. I think Forest can negotiate this one down 100%, but has the potential to have either a high sell-on value or could progress into an outstanding and excellent player. Are you guys impressed by him? Let me know as always what your thoughts are in the comments. Okay, so we've gone out in, let's go back out for another player that is set to leave. And it's a player we briefly touched on the morning video, and that's Scott McKenna. Scott McKenna, who was heavily linked, as we said earlier on, to Rangers and Celtic, looks now set to be moving to Copenhagen. And this one looks like it is very close to deal done. Scott, who I've got nothing but respect for. I will say that I don't think he's a Premier League player. He just doesn't have the pace of it. But in the Championship, what a signing he was for us. And going over to Copenhagen, who, don't forget, got Champions League football this season, got some good results against the likes of Manchester United, etc. This could be a good move for him and could get him some European football next year. In terms of the fee, there's no real talks or rumors or sources about what's going on. This one is not going to be a big one because Scott McKenna only has 6 months left on his contract. So expect this one to be finalized and confirmed shortly. And in terms of Joe Worrell, there's more interest being shown in him, this time from the likes of Leeds United. What we do know now is that Forest have set a price on Joe Worrell. It was 10 million, but it seems to be they've reduced it down to 6 million now. And that is starting to attract some other clubs. We know that Sheffield were in it. It seems that Wilder's lost his interest a bit because they can't afford it. And we know that Leeds are now interested, as well as, of course, Besiktas, as we reported to you this morning. So we could see the exodus of a few defenders from Nottingham Forest today. And we got another one to talk to you about next. All right, so from outs to back ins to kind of outs. Let me explain. So Nottingham Forest may be sending, or selling, should I say, Serge Aurier to Galatasaray. And with that happening, Forest are now being linked to a guy called Brandon Soppy, who is a bit of a journeyman. He's jumped a bit from club to club, even though he's only 21 years old. He's currently, well, he resides at Atlanta, but is out on loan to Torino. And at Torino has only played 3 games. And this feels like a bit of a merry-go-round as well, because they're looking to play, in terms of Galatasaray, they're looking to replace their right back, who they've sold to Bayern Munich. So this seems like one of those domino effects that Forest are kind of getting involved in, with Serge Aurier being on Galatasaray's hit list. Now, my thoughts on this. One, I don't know too much about this player. I've not seen him play that much, so can't really give an opinion on him. But what I would say is, if Forest would sell Serge Aurier, I've got nothing against that. I think Serge Aurier last year was one of our best players, like 100%. But this season hasn't been how he was last year. So I'm not against it. But what I do think about is, what is the point in getting another right back in when we've already got Montiel, we've got Nico Williams, you've got Einar who can play right back. We're already very fullback heavy, if you like. So I think this needs to be a net gain to Forest in terms of getting rid of a player rather than bringing a player in. And his valuation is hard to tell as well, because Atlanta paid 9 million euros for him. He's valued at about 6 or 7. So he's gone down in valuation. It's not one that I'm very interested in, but he could be good. Maybe you guys know more about him than I do. But this looks triggered by the links of Serge Aurier going to Galatasaray. Now, would you guys be okay with him going? And if he does, do you want a replacement in as another right back? Or do you think, like I do, that we've got enough cover right there? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so that brings you up to date for now with your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. If anything changes, as always, we will have a new video out. But with the Arsenal game this evening, I fully recommend that you follow us on our socials, as you'll get minutes by minutes updates on there. On Twitter or X or whatever it's called, it's at officialFFTV, and it's exactly the same on Instagram at officialFFTV. So make sure you're following us on whatever platforms you currently use for social media. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to Forest Fan TV. We'll see you on the watch along. Forest 1-0. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. Get your predictions in. Come on, you Reds.